We're going to call to order the January 18th Norton Select Board meeting. In attendance tonight are the entire board is here: Denise Luciano, Meg Arts, Alec Rich, Steve Hornsby, and myself, as well as the town manager. We're going to improvise a little bit here, and we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And is Peter here? Peter?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we want to start off by extending our thanks to the Norton Housing Authority for hosting us tonight. Specifically, we want to thank Missy Salisbury, who's the Executive Director, for letting us use their space. We wanted to try this space for a meeting because it gives us a little bit more room for guests from the community and any guests that want to be here for the meeting. So thanks to the Norton Housing Authority and to Missy for that. We have a couple of quick items, and then at 7:15 we have a public hearing that we will open, and then we'll go back to the regular board agenda. We don't have any appointments, resignations, or retirements to announce tonight, which is good that there's no resignations or retirements. We were provided the minutes for the December 21st, 2023 Select Board meeting. If anybody has any changes they would like to make, we'll take those now. If not, we'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 21st, 2023.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved unanimously. So moving on to 2024 license renewals. Well, I don't think we have any, right? Yeah, we don't have any of those. So Alec can save his voice tonight. And then next on licenses and permits, we have the vote to amend the hours of operation for the cigar and shop. Do you want to just give us a quick background on that?
So if you remember when we had the last meeting, the attorney wasn't sure what the hours were, and the owner was in India, and the attorney said he was a little confused. And so he had said 11 to 6 p.m., and he wanted to change that to 10 to 11 p.m.
That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
I kind of looked when he said 6 p.m. like, really?
I don't think we voted on the hours anyways. But
No.
We were just asking out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that makes more sense.
Okay.
We
So
can vote on that.
want to vote on the change? Okay. All right, so I'll take a motion to amend, vote to amend the hours of operation for the cigar and shop.
Second.
So moved.
So moved.
Steve moved and Meg seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, easy enough. We're going to turn it over to Alec for a few announcements, I think.
Okay, first one, thank you, Mr. Chair. First one is to remind everybody that town election is Saturday, April 27th, and these are the following seats that are available. Select Board, there's 2 seats. Board of Assessors, 2 seats. Housing Authority, 1 seat. Planning Board, 2 seats. And School Committee, 2 seats. Papers are available to be taken out at the town clerk's office. And we have other vacancies on town boards and committees. Commission on Disability, Constable, Cultural Council, Economic Development Commission, full member and alternate positions. Gold Star Committee, Historic District Commission, full member and alternate positions. Historical Commission, Norton Cable Access Inc., Open Space Committee, Permanent Building Committee, Registered Architect member. The Recreation Commission, alternate positions. Water Bodies Committee, and the Zoning Board of Appeals alternate. Excuse me. Just see Lucia, Michelle.
If anyone is interested, if they just email Michelle, it's mbrown@nortonmaus.com. And just to give you an idea, Commission on Disability, there's 4 positions open. Constable, there's 1. Cultural Council's a huge council, it's up to 22 members, so there's 15 positions available. Cultural Council is a weird thing, it's set up by the state, and you can only serve 2 consecutive terms, and then you have to get off. I don't know why they do that, it just doesn't make any sense. It's so hard to get people, if you have someone that really likes it, and after 2 terms they have to get off, doesn't, but. The Economic Development Committee, a full member and 2 alternates. Gold Star Committee has 1 opening. The Historic District Commission has 2 permanent positions and 2 alternate positions available. The Historical Commission has 4 positions available. Norton Cable Access, those 2 positions are actually select board appointments, so there's 2 positions. If anyone's interested, let us know. Open Space Committee, 3 full-time and 2 alternate. The Recreation Commission has 2 alternate positions available. And Water Bodies Committee has 7 positions available.
Denise.
I would say, so Mike, could you send us those numbers, number 1, but number 2, we've been putting together a committee to look at the boards and committees that we have to see if we can consolidate any of them, and some of them seem like they have somewhat similar purposes, that we could maybe get some efficiencies by kind of combining maybe some that have similar or related functions.
You know, we'd have to look at what statutorily you have to have
Right.
separated and
Yeah.
what's required by the charter, and it would probably.
Yeah, I know a few of these require the charter, but maybe we could merge one of the ones that isn't in with it, if there is an efficiency, it could be higher. Just because we do have so many vacancies, and it's hard to find volunteers, right?
Okay. All right, Alex.
So this is still going on, it says reserve your spot by January 12th. They're still taking reservations for this? Do we know it's the,
What is it?
it's the declutter, what is it? Is it seminar?
Oh, the seminar, yeah.
Is it, you know, it's a seminar for decluttering, Fridays, January 19th, February 2nd, and February 16th, 6 to 7 p.m. It's to help decluttering towns.
They have like a professional organizer coming in, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, it's $35 for 3 classes. And it is given by Annalise Thompson, Certified Organizational Specialist, that will help you understand why you have all the clutter and how to start letting it go. And you did it at the town hall, Mike?
Are you gonna be there? Sign you up.
We didn't have enough money to cover.
It says to reserve your spot by January 12th, but I'm sure if you call Park and Rec, they can guide you through that, 508-285-0228. Location is at the Norton Media Center. Fridays, January 19th, February 2nd, and February 16th, 6 to 7 p.m.
Right.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay, and did you want to do the Wreaths Across America?
Yep,
From
yep.
that?
This Saturday, Pat Tarantino, who's organized the Wreaths Across America event, is having the pickup of all the wreaths that are placed on all the veterans' graves at 10 o'clock at the Common Cemetery, the Plain Street Cemetery, and Pine Street Cemetery. All 3 of them, 10 o'clock. Pat Tarantino will be at the Common Cemetery. Lou Schneider, myself, will be at Plain Street Cemetery. And Bob Kimball and George Haas will be at the Pine Street Cemetery to show people, you know, which ones to do, to pick up, not any other things that families have put around graves. So if everybody could bring either a hockey stick or broom handle or something of that nature, it makes it much more efficient picking up multiple wreaths. And they'll be put in a designated spot so that DPW can grab them efficiently as well. So, that's all.
All right, great. Thank you. We could bring a gavel, I guess.
Yeah, so any volunteers, anybody, especially kids.
10 a.m.?
Yeah, yeah.
10 a.m. Yep.
That would be great. All right, thanks, Alec. We have the public hearing coming up in a couple of minutes, so Mike, I'm thinking, do you want to skip ahead to the donation?
Yeah.
We can do that, I think, in a couple of minutes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have a private monetary donation for the benefit of the Norton Cultural Council, and a request to establish an account to accept future donations to the Norton Cultural Council. Do you have any concerns about any of the setting up an account or anything like that? Okay.
Just vote to accept.
Yeah, the donation. Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay, so I will entertain a motion to accept the donation and set up an account.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. And anything else we can jump to? I think that most of everything else is probably going to be a little bit longer, so.
Do some town manager.
Yeah, if you can do some of those, that'd be great.
I gave you some information just to let you know, as you probably saw, the governor had some 9C cuts, and effect on the towns was reduction in grant money that we're receiving. So we had $25,000 that was dedicated to fund part of the cost of the library parking lot. That was cut in half to $12,500, and also another $25,000 for the study of Route 123 and 140, and that was also cut in half. All that's across the board. They just made cuts in all the earmarks by 50%. And just on the budget update, the governor also, as part of that, was saying that revenues are down for the state, and they anticipate next year they're going to be down even further. So I guess fortunately we don't rely on a ton of state aid. So we'll be looking at level funded, hopefully, state aid. And from last time I talked to you about the budget, the assessors went through, and instead of $300,000, the new growth, they figure it's going to be at $700,000. So that gives us $400,000 more towards the budget. And I'll be meeting with the superintendent on Monday, so we'll go over everything with them. And just an update on the community electricity aggregation program. They'll be sending a notice out to people in town that maybe just moved in and haven't joined the program, and let them know about it. That's going out this week. And again, for anyone that wants to join the program, you can opt in or opt out anytime you want. So it's strictly up to you whether you want to be in the program.
And that program, you're opted in automatically?
Automatically opted in. And if you want to opt out, you can opt out.
Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions for Mike on any of those items? All right. It is 7:16 p.m., so we're going to move to the public hearing. Do we have someone from?
Online.
Oh, online.
Jeff from National Grid. I don't know why you can't see him up there, but
You have him there? Oh, you have him, okay. All right. Jeff, can you hear us?
Hello, everybody.
Oh, there he is.
How you doing?
All right, so I will take a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. This is a roll call, right? We need a roll call vote to open the public hearing. Denise?
Yes.
Meg?
Yes.
Ally?
Yes.
Steve?
All right.
I too am a yes. So the public hearing is open. This is on a petition of Massachusetts Electric Company doing business as National Grid and Verizon New England, Incorporated, to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way. On Pine Street, install one JO pole on Pine Street. National Grid to install a new pole number 1203, 125 foot plus or minus, northwest of pole 1222, including anchor and guy wire. So, well, I guess we'll turn it over to Jeff just to kind of give us an overview of what this is, and then we'll go from there.
So the pole is being installed to provide power to the new underground residential development, which would be Lloyd Circle. It's pretty straightforward from there. Without the pole, there's no power.
Okay, and we got the plans in our packets. Does anybody have any concerns or questions from the board first, and then we'll see if there's anybody from the public here to discuss it. Go ahead.
This is all going to be underground in that subdivision?
All of the subdivision will be underground minus the riser pole to provide primary power to that underground residential development.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, and then is there anyone from the public who would like to speak? We don't have a podium for you, for anybody.
Oh, that's it.
So,
Jeff, this isn't personal, but you are the spokesman for National Grid.
And say so, yes, I'm here to answer any questions that need to be
We,
answered.
as chairman of the building committee, we seem to have a problem, although after 7 hours on the phone today, some wind was taken out of my sails. But we have been trying for 6 months to get 2 telephone poles on Mansfield Ave. And in order to progress with the construction of the senior center, it's a whole catch-22 thing that you may be aware of, that's a policy of your company, that they will not order a transformer until the pole is in. And rumor has it it'll take 20 weeks to get a transformer for the senior center, and we want to open the senior center in about 18 weeks, which means we won't have power and we can't test out anything within the senior center. And every time somebody makes an inquiry, we get another pushback as far as, well, you've got to have state DPW permit, you've got to have this permit. As far as I know, the OPM for our projects put in for all those permits last May. Now, whether you had a change of staff or somebody retired or somebody died, and it's in the bottom of their desk drawer somewhere, we reapplied 3 weeks ago. So in trying to talk to some people like Senator Howard this morning, he had a whole separate set of numbers for work orders than what I had. And in talking with a few other people today, I find out we're not waiting for 1 pole, we're waiting for 3 poles. We're waiting for 1 pole on the side of where the power lines are. We're waiting for another pole on the side of the construction. And then lo and behold, somebody popped up that we're waiting for a Verizon pole, which has nothing to do with you. And trying to stay on topic, the reason I'm speaking is I would like to suggest to the select board that they table this I did not know it was for a town project. I think that's what I heard through my hearing aids. But I'd like this tabled for a couple of weeks, even though today we received word that National Grid will be coming in at the next select board meeting and asking for a permit for the poles. I come from the school, if I don't have it in my hand, it's not done. and I'm not living with idle promises. I would just like to see you table this and let Jeff go back to his superiors and say, what's going on in Norton? I mean, I've tried Senator Howard, I've tried people, I've networked at the men's senior breakfast, I got a couple of responses from them. I've networked when I'm on the ski patrol at Blue Hills. I've got a VP from somebody in Boston that has connections. I am trying to get this done. I'm very passionate about these two buildings. I'm passionate that I want it to come in on time and on budget. And if they're holding us up, and maybe the rumor about getting a transformer isn't true. In fact, somebody even told me that National Grid's warehouse is in Mansfield, and the warehouse is owned by somebody in Norton. So, I mean, that's how deep I've dug on this. And, you know, all of a sudden today, we're starting to get responses. Now, I'll take the credit for it because I'm throwing darts all over the place. But, Jeff, I just want you to know that it's not personal, it's the company you work for, and
I have a couple questions for you.
I knew you would.
First question is, what is the address for the senior center?
What is the what?
Address?
Address.
142 Mansfield Ave.
120 Mansfield.
Oh, 120? Okay.
Problem number one, wrong address. There you go. See? Problem already.
Would you like the 7 work order numbers? I have those.
My next question is, what size transformer
I have
is
no
projected
idea.
to go there?
I have no idea.
I know that they're having issues with 3-phase transformers, and I'm going to presume that the senior center will get a 3-phase transformer.
Right. We've got the
So
pad.
I have projects of my own that I designed months ago.
Right.
That are probably back ordered till about April, maybe May.
I mean, we have the conduit from the building to 20 feet to where, before where the pole is supposed to be placed. But your guys may take a late lunch or something and put the pole 10 feet left or right of that place. So we had to leave 20 feet in order to bend the conduit left or right should the pole not be where we assume it's going to be. But we have the pad in place, we have the conduit in place, we do not have the poles.
Again, I can tell you that there are issues with 3-phase transformers at the moment where they're back ordered for many of the projects that National Grid has undertaken from customers. I can have somebody contact you tomorrow to figure out your project, and we can go from there.
The problem is, you know there's a problem with getting the transformers. The rumor I heard, they will not order the transformer until the poles are in. So we don't have poles, so you haven't even ordered the transformer that we need that's going to take 20 weeks.
I don't know if that's 100% accurate. I know a lot of times it's all based on how friendly a project is on the property, and poles for us usually are not the massive holdup that the transformers are. So if the transformers are 2 months out and we can put poles in 2 weeks, the pole really isn't the issue. It's more of the transformer for the building. Right now, we have enough poles to be.
I understand that,
15th Street.
but we don't have the poles, and you won't order the transformer until we have the poles.
Well, I think they're trying to coordinate it all together and say, okay, we have plans for the transformer to be in, say, 4 weeks from now. That's where our projection is. And then what they would probably do is to say, okay, here's the schedule. We'll send the guys out 2 weeks ahead of time, get everything ready to go. That way, when the transformer's ready to be delivered, it's more.
Okay, I don't want to take any more time debating back and forth, but Jeff, just want to make you aware of it, so tomorrow morning, when you get into work at 6 o'clock and all your bosses get in at 9, you can be on the phone at
No, I can
9:05.
assure you, my boss is in at 6:30. I can assure you. Trust me. I wish he came in at 9.
6:32, I expect you to be on the phone, but I would respectfully suggest to the select board that you table this and we see what happens in 2 weeks. And I'll come back in 2 weeks when the next select board meeting is. If I don't have polls, I'll ask you to table it for another 2 weeks because, it's holding up. They're supposed to be.
Has there been a petition for your poles to be installed through the town? Or is that still not progressed at that point either?
I know that NGrid requested an abutters list, but we haven't received an application yet. So if you,
Okay, so
if
that process is probably going through the rigmarole also.
right, so if you know anyone, tell them they need to get it in quick if they want to be on the February 1st meeting.
So I will talk to the designer that handles Norton. He actually sits right next to me, and I will talk to him at 6:30 tomorrow morning, not 6:32, just to be clear. 6:30 in the morning, I will discuss 120 Mansfield Avenue.
Thanks.
Okay, I appreciate it. Again, thank you for your time.
Jim, can we get a paper trail on this? Can we get a paper trail on this conversation?
It'll be in the minutes.
Yeah, we'll have it in the minutes. Yeah, and it's being recorded, so.
Or will we create minutes to hold their feet to the fire?
Jeff, I
Yes, sir.
think the other person that's speaking wants to know, can you send us some kind of written confirmation that you talked to your buddy across the aisle about what's going on?
Sure.
Can you send an email to Mike?
Email, you would like me to email?
Just send it to Jennifer, who you sent the application to. Or you can send it to munits, YUNITS, at nortonmaus.com.
At Norton, NA,
M as in Michael, AUS.com.
Okay, fantastic.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, thank
If
you.
you have any other questions, I'll gladly answer them while I'm here.
Okay, all right, thanks. All right.
I can say my,
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna come back to that. So, does anybody else from the public have any comments or questions? Okay. So we need to discuss, well, Jeff, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I do not. I think I've answered all the questions that need to be answered.
All right, thank you. Yeah. So, so at this time, we're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing. So I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We need a roll call vote. Denise?
Yes.
Meg?
Yes.
Alec?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I too am a yes. Okay, so we are closing the public hearing and now we can have discussion amongst the board. So, so what are we thinking as far as the request to table this petition until we have more progress on the other project?
I fully agree with everything that Mr. Slattery said. Fully agree with it. The problem being, I don't know if we can do that, hold another private project hostage because of our project. It might seem like the right thing to do to get some action, but I don't think we can do it. And again, I agree with everything he said. We're not getting direct answers
Yeah.
with anything. But I don't think we can. I'm not sure. I'm not an attorney.
I'm in agreement. I think these are independent projects and they should be viewed independently. Unfortunately, we can hold this one hostage for another issue.
Yeah, I agree. If it was another town poll today that we're talking about, then maybe we'd have some kind of leverage there. But yeah, I agree.
Okay. All right, so so I'll take a motion then to approve the petition as written in the agenda.
I'll make a motion to install one JO pole on Pine Street, National Grid, to install pole number 1203, northwest of pole 1222, including anchor and guy.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
I know we're not trying to hold them hostage, but you have a problem with National Grid. They asked you during the storm for a list of things from the fire chief. The fire chief took time out of his busy schedule serving the citizens of Norton at a time of emergency, and they completely ignored it. We're trying to build a senior center, they're completely ignoring what we're doing at the senior center. I think we have to send a message to National Grid that they're supposed to be customer service orientated. I mean, you're taking time from the fire chief, you're taking time from us, and come Memorial Day when we're not in the senior center, and I've been running around saying the sky is falling and everybody thinks I'm a cricket. When we don't have the senior center open, and I say it's National Grid's fault because you guys, the board would not, try to hold National Grid to the fire. If you think this is holding them hostage, what would they do to you if you did it? They're gonna have their lawyers at $1,000 an hour come back at you? I don't think so. I think they'll put in the telephone pole and get the job done. I think they have better things to do than be fighting the town of Norton over a supposed hostage situation. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks,
Can I
Mr.
chat
Slattery.
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I agree with everything you said there, almost everything you said there. The only problem that I have is that it's not holding National Grid to the fire, it's holding this project to the fire, this Pine Street project. It's not National Grid. So if we hold off on this, it's only hurting that developer. It's not hurting National Grid at all. It's not forcing them to do anything. So that's my opinion on it.
We, at our last meeting, we talked about having a representative from National Grid come in and talk about some of these other issues we're having, correct?
Yep.
And how successful were you with that?
Hold on, Mr. Slattery.
The chief and I reached out, we'll reach out again. We reached out right before the last storm and they were getting ready for that storm, so we'll follow up again. We want to meet with them and then we'll have them come in here too. And I just want to let you know, I'll be meeting in Boston tomorrow with the rep from Verizon. So she's been tracking all the information today and I'll go over everything with her tomorrow on their application. As far as the state application for National Grid, I'm told by the state that they reached out to National Grid quite a while ago looking for some more information, so hopefully National Grid hurries up and gets that to them, and they'll have their state permit, hopefully before they come back here for their town permit.
So can I speak?
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
I just looked up that work request. 306-45712. Emily O'Brien is in the process of getting the town petition to the town. She's also, based on what I'm looking at in our job queues for that job, she's also getting the state permit secured also. And to be clear, that transformer is a 300 kVA, which is on back order, which is one of my other projects is also looking for the same type of transformer for their projects.
So Jeff, just so everybody's clear, so the petition for the polls is in process, is that right?
It's in the process along with the state permit.
Yeah, the state permit is in the final stage, so they're just looking for something.
Okay. All right, so we do have a motion and a second on the table, so do we have any further discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Slattery. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
I will be in touch tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Right.
All right. Okay, next up is an update on the flooding situation on Barrows Court. So I think the best way to do this would be to have members of the fire department and highway just kind of give us an update. I don't know if, is John here? I don't think John couldn't make it. If you guys could just come up and give us just an overview of kind of where we are, what we've done, what some of the issues are that we're seeing. And then what I'd like to do is, I know we have some residents here from Barrows Court. I think they're at that back table there. I think I'd like to allow them to ask any questions that they have. Obviously this is not a great situation we're dealing with here. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I don't know if we can just maybe turn the camera that way and just, you guys can just get your updates from over there.
Start off from here?
Yeah. Just speak loudly. Yeah.
I'll probably say a lot of the same things, but I think everybody here is pretty much aware of the situation that we've had down there. Most recently, we had a storm on December 18th. We had problems down there. The road was flooding. During that, I think there was about 16 inches of water there during that storm. We did receive one call, and we had to assist somebody get out of the vehicle that was stuck in the road on that day. After that, I know that Deputy Chief Robbins, Jared from the Highway Department, and the Conservation Agent checked extensively to try to see if there was any obvious reasons that something was backing up, and to my knowledge, they didn't find anything obvious that to indicate what that reason was. So then we had that other storm on I think it was Tuesday the 10th or the 9th, something like that. Yeah, I think the 10th. We had about 16 inches of water that day. The following day, same thing, trying to check for any reasons. We ended up putting the fire engine down there for probably about 4 hours, pumped out approximately 200,000 gallons of water as far away as we could put it with a deck on our apparatus. It really had minimal effect changing it. It dropped down by a little bit. About an hour later, the water level was back to where it was before we started. So if we figured it was worth a try, if there was anything that we could do, we'd give it a shot and try to make the situation better. Then we had another storm coming a few days after that. As we met with some of the select board members, a lot of the town department head members, in areas that were relevant to the situation. We'd already had a plan. We presented that to the select board, discussed some options, and then we set up a shuttle service with vehicles being parked on Fordham Drive, shuttling it with emergency management people. We did that from, I believe, 8 a.m. on Saturday all the way to approximately 8 p.m. On Saturday. About 9 o'clock in the morning, the water level there was about 6 inches. It seemed to crest about 8 o'clock at night, where it was up to about 10 inches, which was just about the maximum level for that transport bus that we were utilizing. So prior to that, we had all the measurements for all of our fire apparatus, so we knew what the water clearance was for the ambulance, the fire engine, our squad, so we knew what options we could utilize if it exceeded the level of the transport van. We also had an agreement. I talked with Chief of Bedford the day before, and we had secured the use of their high water vehicle, which can go up to like 30 inches through like 30 inches of water. So we had that kind of on standby for us if we needed to, knowing that it was probably going to be about 2 hours if we needed that to go and get it and bring it back, because it only drives 30 miles an hour. So we probably would have to stop the gas halfway back, but we would have done it if we needed to. We also had talked to Mass Emergency Management Association a couple days before, so we had any resources that they may be able to provide, which quite frankly isn't very much for a situation like that. They offered us pumps if we needed them. I said, well, we have a fire truck that's going to do about 30 times more than what one of your pumps will be, and that didn't really work. So, but they were good. They offered any services that we could use. So by Sunday morning, it didn't appear to be hardly any standing water on the road, so it seems to take about 36 to 48 hours to recede for one of the storms that we've had recently. That's pretty much all I have. Unless you have any questions, I'd be happy to do my best to answer.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Question?
Sure.
Can you explain why it happened?
I can't.
I think Mike can give us a background on that.
Oh, okay, because I mean, I've lived there myself for 10 years.
Yeah.
Never seen it happen before.
Yeah. No, it's a great question.
Well, part of the reason is we had historical rain in January, which is not normal. On that storm that was the worst, there was 4 inches of rain, over 4 inches up in Rentham. That's where the river starts.
Which river? I'm sorry.
It's the
The Wading River.
Reading River.
So there was an unbelievable amount of water going into that river. Also, I drove down Summer Street, and half of Summer Street was blocked off due to water. So the watershed on that side comes all the way down to Barrows Court, and that entire area was just swamped with water. And then the river was so high, there's a drainage pipe that comes out of the street, but if the river's high, there's nowhere for the water to go because the river is above the drainage pipe. So it was historical amounts. So, you know, there's just nothing we can do about something like that. It just, even if that pipe, Jared's gonna check when the weather is good in the summer and it's dry, he'll be checking out that pipe. But even if that was everything was perfectly clear in the pipe, there was nothing wrong with the pipe, the river was above the outfall, so there's nowhere for that water to go, so it's just gonna sit until the river goes down. And some long-term solutions that, in that area, there's 67 square miles of watershed that goes down into that area. I mean, it's huge. And long-term, to try and help alleviate the future, we're looking to apply for any grants we can to actually take the dam down and keep the water, put the water back to the river it was, and let it flow so it doesn't get, the pond doesn't rise anymore like that during those storms. That's a long-term thing, obviously.
So there had been ponding there prior to, so I capital of 60 Barrows Court. Even in like the fall, there was ponding in that area without, and I know it rained a lot in the fall, but not enough to cause ponding. And I've lived here for 10 years, that's more.
22 years.
And we've had significant rains in the past, and I don't think we've ever seen water like that. So I've heard from some folks that there's an issue with some piping along the way. Is that true or no?
There's some, go ahead, Jared.
That's just, so it happened in stages, inspecting this whole system. So I probably spoke with numerous people on the phone. And initially, before we moved, after getting out in the field, we saw the water table was well above the outfall of that pipe, but it took time to assess that. So what initially happened, my mind initially went to that first outflow, which is between house 4 and 6, I think. And in the past, we knew there was a lot of dumping, I don't know who it was from, and it's kind of had modeled wetland, so it's hard for it to drain anyway. So I wanted to stop in that area, and that's why I was probably speaking to people saying that I'd have to wait till it was dry enough to actually get out there. It was actually submerged underwater, the whole there's a manhole with outflow dumps into it, completely underwater. And then as we went down there, and I saw that some of the the water table was so high, and I started pumping on that second storm, the fire department got involved, and I realized it was a much larger issue, and there was other reasons, so without eliminating some of them, or just waiting till the water table goes down, I really can't inspect that pipe properly. So it might be like a multi-stage problem, just the main one is probably not that helpful pipe. Most likely the water table, and the dam, possibly.
I don't understand the dam. Which dam are we talking about? The one on Chartley Street? Not Chartley Street.
First, yeah, we know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Charlie,
Or
yeah, Southwest Street.
the one right on Barrows Street. Which one are we talking about?
We're talking about the Barrowsville Dam on Barrows Street.
On Barrows Street, okay.
In prior, I'm sorry, 10 Barrows Court, Melanie Masuda.
Yeah, go ahead, Noel.
In prior notification, it said that the owner of there's somebody that owns the dam and they're being unresponsive. What exactly does that mean?
I read that too somewhere.
So someone personally, property-wise, owns that dam and they're not answering your phone calls? Is that how we're talking?
I'll touch on it a little bit, but I'm also not nearly the resident expert on it, just from what John Thomas, the Conservation Director, he'd be able to answer your questions better. The owner, the dam is owned by Barrowsville Corp., which was the company that owns that. They own it, so we have to reach out to them to get them to do anything to fix the dam or make adjustments or any of that. In the past, when we've had issues with them, they've been unresponsive. We're gonna try to serve them and get them to do things and be a little more responsive in the future. In the past, it's been a dead end, but we have to go through them because they own that dam. We can't make adjustments to that because it's their property. We own the Chartley Dam, we regulate that through conservation. We did make adjustments to that prior to this last storm and raise that to try to hold back some of that water to make it so it would hopefully alleviate things on your end, at least for a short time. Maybe that helped, it's tough to tell. We got less rain, I think we were a foot down to start than we were on the previous storm, so there was some makeup room there to go with also. We did go, Jared, myself at Conservation, John Thomas, we did go and we looked at the site at Barrowsville, we looked down further at Charles Lane, we looked on South Worcester by Home Market Foods, we were on Taunton Avenue, we were on Crane Street, and we were well deep in the woods off of Old Taunton Ave to try to see if we saw any areas that there were restrictions. We didn't find any.
I'll add again, and I'll make the same disclaimer that I'm not an expert on this, but my understanding from John Thomas was that they own that dam at Barrowsville Pond, and then that dam feeds the water into their facility there. So at some point they were using that for, I don't know, power generation or whatever they were using it for. So they own that dam because it's part of that, really it's part of that facility that they have there. So, and just speaking to some folks recently as well, you know, this is an issue that's going on throughout the region, right? This storm was historical, is not just the amount of water, but also I think there was some snow melt going on, which also added to the water, and the water table is you know, a record high. So other towns, I know, for example, Norwood is having this issue as well from just the last couple of weeks as well. So, and there are other parts of our town too that are also experiencing water that have never experienced water before as well. So it really is, you know, a bunch of issues kind of all coming together related to the amount of water and where the water table is that is causing this particular issue to come up now. So, and like I said, it's not unique to Norton. This is happening all around us.
Yeah, I lived with the and like Patrick was saying, there's a spot, it's just across the street. It's never done that. Prior to these storms, it started and the sewer thing,
Yeah,
bubbles. It bubbles.
The water comes up out of that.
It comes out of it, and this is before
So, yeah,
the
yeah,
storm.
yeah, well, that was the people we've already been speaking to with that record level of the water table being that high, it's literally back feeding into the system instead of draining out like it should. The water table in the west of all your houses is actually back feeding into the outflow pipe, and hydraulic pressure is forcing the water out of the basin, so it is the water table in the woods west of the development.
I'm reading 11 Barrows Court, Norton. I've been there since 1977, and this hasn't happened before. I think there's another outflow pipe that I mentioned to the highway department that starts and actually drains the high side, the odd-numbered houses. It runs underneath the street. And if you look, when that water was flowing, it was flowing on either side of exactly where that other piping that goes under the street goes. I'm not sure if it's even on the maps how extensive it was, but I think it goes between number 10 and number 8 and goes out back there. There's obviously has to be some problem. And the other thing that concerns me is this started ponding, as the gentleman pointed out, prior to these heavy rains. Before these heavy rains, there was 6 inches of water ponding there. So that's a concern to me. I think something's crushed. I really do. Oh, and by the way, thanks for the shuttle, that was great. Jeez, it was really good. I'm the guy that got stuck to call the fire department. And I know I'm short now, I used to be 6 feet, but I'm short now, but it was deeper than 18 inches. The water when I was wading out was like this.
It's awful. I mean, there's
Thanks.
people that bring kayaks out there and actually can tread water through with
Yeah, I
it.
have videos.
I mean, it's uncanny.
Yeah, I took a ride out there on, I guess it was that Saturday. I think it was about 10 inches at that point. So, yeah, I saw it. It was, I mean, it's significant. It's not.
So can you speak to the owner of the dam and the property and not a brief history, but like where they are now? Is it the abandoned building that is at, 138 Barrow Street right now that we're talking about? Which had a fire, which is abandoned right now. And so we are hostage to them not, I'm gonna defer back to your word. We're hostage during any rainstorm right now that's over an inch because we gave up access to a dam that feeds rivers in the north. So we can't live like this over the course of the next 4 to 5 months. It's not gonna work because every single rainstorm right now is either an inch or more. So we'd like to have an understanding of what the plan is. And it can't be, we have to wait.
Because I can't go camping, I can't get my camper out, and it's brand new and I'm not happy. But that's not the whole thing. This is, I literally will never get it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
John Thomas, the Conservation Director, was also going to reach out to towns north of us that also have watershed into that and see, because if they decide to adjust their dams to affect water, they don't necessarily have to tell us. So he was going to reach out to them to try to make an agreement that if they do anything like that, that we're aware of it in the future also.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I know that John Thomas, the conservation agent, has sent a certified letter, I believe, to the dam owner. He sent that either Friday or early this week, I believe.
Mike, do you want to give us a brief history of that property?
Sure. So the dam was built by whoever built the factory. I always knew it as Tweed, and they used to make fabric in that facility. They sold they closed down. They were open since I've been here. They closed down probably 8 years ago.
Yeah, maybe a little more.
Somewhere around there.
And they sold the property. I think it was they auctioned it, and this guy bought it just to buy it. Had no plans for the property, and he's just trying to market the property and sell it. And you know, we've heard rumors. We've met with people that were looking at it, and told them that they have a hazardous dam there that needs to be addressed, and nobody's moved forward with purchasing the property. So hopefully you'll get someone soon. It's a nice property. It's a good solid property. So you know, we're hoping, we're keeping our fingers crossed that someone will buy that and do something on the site.
Alec, I know you wanted to make a comment.
Is there a problem with the dam itself? Like,
The dam, there is a problem with the dam, and the state has classified it as a hazard.
is the problem with the dam causing the water backup? Over the spillways?
Well, nothing has changed with the dam. You know, the amount of water that flows over, it's the same as always. The state's concern is the dam's going to fail someday, and they're concerned what's going to happen downstream. You know, we'd obviously like to lower the dam to let more water flow through there. That obviously would require, we're going to have to, we're willing, we've told the owner, we're willing to work with them. We're willing to apply for any grants we can, but they've got to be on board with it because they own it. And so hopefully
And we don't want to own a dam,
Right.
right? Because,
We've told the state time and time again, we don't own it. The state's trying to see that we own it. We've told them time and time again. The only reason the dam's there, it was there for the factory. We didn't build the dam, we don't own it. Just because our road goes over it doesn't mean that.
So there's two issues. They spoke to standing water, before. And I know water table is extremely high. I think the people that know me know I have a bunch of trucks running around Norfolk and Bristol County, and we're pumping. And if it's more often than not that the tanks are filling back up as fast as we're pumping now. I think the people that aren't experiencing that now are lucky. I have a lot of trucks pumping every day in Norfolk, and thousands of customers. And the water table is extremely high. If there is a collapsed pipe in the underground drainage, that's just exacerbating the issue. Water table is within 2-3 feet of, high groundwater is within 2 feet.
The health
3
agent,
feet of.
yeah, the health agent said he's finding it 1 foot down.
So in the development world that I do too, it definitely, we can't perk anything right now. Installing systems or anything, you just can't do it right now. So I think there's one issue compounding on another issue. The historic rainfall, the rapid melt of that snow that night, on top of a high water table and a possible catch basin that might just need to be cleaned out. It might have I think that's, and unfortunately to inspect that, the water table does need to recede to be able to know what is going on, to be able to remedy that. Are we gonna get another 3-inch rainstorm? None of us know, but the water has receded a little bit, but it's going to take a little while. All year, how many people's weekends were ruined because of rainstorms? That's all contributed. We're all paying for it now all over the place. Like I said, in Norfolk and Bristol County, where my trucks are, it's consistent. We put a shovel in the ground and water's starting to come up, trying to find covers to tanks. So I think there's a multitude of issues that might be compounding on that with the Barrows Court. The spillways were working as designed, and that's causing the flooding on Barrows Court. The dam is there's just too much flow going into that pond, and it's got nowhere to go.
and the other issue too is, from our meeting the other day with John Thomas was, in order to, if we want to release the water to try to help the situation, we have to have an engineering study done, and we have to make sure we're not causing any flooding downstream and further down there. There's homes that are, I know there's homes even on the other side of the factory there. So, so that's another consideration is that, if we do that, we're gonna have to pay for that. That's where the grants come in. All that is sort of medium, long-term solutions. I think the short-term solution is that we need to be prepared for what might happen, and making sure that that our guys in NEMA and the fire department and the police department and all that are aware of hey, we got storm coming in, or we got water, or whatever it is, and then we have to be prepared to act quickly if something happens. So go ahead.
And I just wanted to say it's obviously high on the highway department's list, and as soon as they get an opportunity to go out there and inspect the drainage system, they'll be out there doing that.
Yeah,
So-
I'm on Reservoir, and I've been here 22 years, and my basement flooded twice these last 2 storms, and never had issues before. Our backyard is a lake, well, now it's a pond. I mean, now it's an ice skating rink. But so I'm just saying, not that you guys want to hear that. I get it. I literally, I spent.
We can't get out.
We can't get to work.
Yeah, no.
I'm really frustrated for the fact that we live there and we can't even walk our children to the bus stop at the end of the street because, for one, we're being told we can't walk through people's yards. It's private property, first off. We can't go one way, there's a fence the other way, and you can't walk through it. So at what point do we start to not be frustrated that we can't even get our kids to the bus stop?
Yeah, no.
My son, I had to call the school and complain, hi, I have no way of getting my child to school, I can't get my car out of my driveway. I have to call my father to come pick my kid up at the end of the street. Like, that's inconvenient, yes. I'm a nurse for 2, I have a job, I have other people I have to care for. And then the grant money, like, that's a really big deal, like, and that takes time, and I get that. But it's really frustrating. So we're told that we need to park on Fordham Drive, which is, you know, generous, thank you, for an area to park our vehicles. But what happens if damage happens to our cars there? Like, who pays for the damage of repairs of vehicles if something happens there? That's another circumstance. We park there at our own will, right? But it's not. So, like, what if someone comes by and sideswipes our cars? And then now we have to go, how do we fix those? So there's like a million different things that we have to worry about from this. That, no offense, your basement being flooded is no relation.
No, I get it. All I'm saying is there's, you know, all of this that we're trying to get done and we're trying to do as much as we possibly can. Unfortunately, there's some issues where you can't go in and
The
look
road's
at
gonna
it.
end up compromised at some point.
Yeah,
If you
it's
continue to leave water on there for 48 hours and God forbid it freezes over for some reason, and never mind that, you continue to have 2 feet of water standing on one portion of the road is gonna be compromised, and that's the only way out of the road, and then you're gonna have a bigger problem that you're gonna have to fix immediately.
And I have videos of this part of the street where it's a vast part of the street that's covered in water. And you can actually see, like, I don't know what this means exactly, but it alarms me that there's many areas of air bubbles. Like, on the road, there's many spots where air's coming up from underneath of it. So, like, when the water sits on it for that long and it's that heavy and whatnot, like, could that even potentially give us a sinkhole? Like, what are the repercussions are we gonna be facing being homeowners on this street?
Yeah,
I've never seen
It's
it.
supposed to, it's gonna be a
all
long
I can say is that we can do whatever we can to try to remedy the situation, but I don't know that there's a short-term solution. I don't think there's a short-term solution that stops the water from coming up onto the road. That's the problem that we have.
In the mention of receding the water to see type, like what the street looked, well, the, whatever you call it, the ways that the water goes, recedes, like to see the backyards and whatever, you mentioned that before. At what point do you actually get to do that? Like,
So we've already inspected multiple times before, during, and after both rainstorms. So that's how I know that system's completely overloaded, that the water table's 100% that is the factor in why it's not draining. And I think to everybody's point, maybe it's just that there's no short-term solution because there's no way you can actually lower that water table in any real way. And I understand all your frustrations too, because it's ridiculous, but it's not like it's something that can just be done, where the switch just turns and that water table load.
so basically this is gonna continue to happen until something does get fixed or repaired. But in the long, like, what is the short-term goal exactly, like, right now? What are you going to do for the residents of us that are stuck there? I mean, you can provide the shuttle bus, but again, like I said, what happens if someone hits our car out there? What if we have a bad storm because of the rainstorm and there's a tree that goes down on one of our cars? Who pays for that?
Well, the same thing could happen in your yard.
Understandable, but if my car were in my yard, I would have that covered myself. But if it's not, and we're forced to be parking somewhere else, what then?
If I could, so in the short term, you have to be prepared that the road's gonna flood, and we're gonna do whatever we can. If we set up a shuttle service again, in Situate, when they're having high tides, they move their cars because they know it's gonna flood. It goes on year after year after year, there's nothing they can do about it. So we know this is gonna happen, so you have to be prepared.
I'm not sure of that comparison.
Not
is-
really.
is anywhere.
Why isn't that Morrissey Boulevard in Dorchester?
Again, those are near.
7
They
days.
know that when they bought the
Yeah,
property.
we never had this
Yeah.
problem.
Situate's right by the water,
I
we
know.
understand that.
The climate has changed, now you do have this problem, so you have to be prepared. Unfortunately, we're gonna do what we did with the last storm, we're gonna be ready to have you park cars somewhere else outside of the street, we'll shuttle you, and then as soon as the water table goes down, we'll make sure that all those pipes are the same as they were before when you said you didn't have a problem?
I mean, I understand that hope's not a solution, right? Like, let's hope that the water table reduces. Record amount of rain over the last 9 months. You know, hope is not, I'm not suggesting that hope is a solution, but I'm hopeful that as the water table recedes, you won't see the flooding like you haven't seen it for 22 years that you've been there. And that it'll be another 22 years before you ever have to see it again. The bigger picture that is unfortunate for all of you is that we are getting more storms. We are getting heavier storms. And that's a reality. That is what's happening. So these situations, we can do all the long-term things. In the short term, I really think we just have to prepare as best we can as a town, and you as well as you know, the residents there. We just have to prepare the best that we can for the possibility that this is going to happen again. And what are we going to do when it does? Which, you know, we have a lot of, you know, professionals and caring people that work for our town that want to help, and we want to try to get whatever solution we can to help you. You know, and that's what we're here for. We're trying to figure out ways that we can help. You know, I can't speak to every hypothetical that might happen, like with your cars. I get it, right? I get it. Like, what happens if this happens? If that happens, we'll deal with it. We'll have to deal with it when it happens. Right now, the biggest thing I think is just how do we prepare? It's an emergency situation, right? That's why we have the Norton Emergency Management Agency. That's why we have the fire department. That's why everybody's working on this. The stormwater manager, the conservation agent, town manager. Everybody's coming together to try to figure out ways that we can mitigate this, so that you're not, you know, so that you can get out of your house, so you don't have these worries. It's just, you know, stopping the water is going to be in the longer term, I think, item that we have to figure out. So thank you for listening. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Thanks for being patient, Jim.
I have two comments. The first one is Taunton had the same problem about, I'm going to say 15 years ago. Reed and Barton went bankrupt, and they had a dam just before it, an old mill. The Bleachery was a mill. We live in a state that has a lot of mills. The state has condemned half those. They want to bring them back to their natural resources. In Taunton, they got that dam knocked down in less than a year because it was backing up to the lake a lot, and I can't remember the name of the lake.
Lake Sabbatia.
Lake Sabbatia, because it was going into the yards of the people there, and it became a very big emergency. Mike's already said that the state has it on its list. I think, not that everybody doesn't have nothing else to do, but I think you should go to Taunton and see how they solved their flooding problem by getting that dam knocked down and remediated so it doesn't back up to Lake Sabbatia, so that we can get the dam at the Bleachery, and that's what I'm going to call it, knocked down so the water flows through and becomes, I don't know where Wading River goes, but it now becomes somebody else's problem and not ours. The second thing I want to add is I used to sit on the Homeland Security Council. They have millions of dollars they get from the federal government. Every seacoast town in Massachusetts got a speedboat for rescue and interception. I would hope that we have a representative on the Homeland Security Council that could get us a deep water vehicle. Now, the fire department used to have a 6x6 forestry truck. I don't know if there's any surplus vehicles out there. I mean, Rehoboth has like 7 Humvees and a whole bunch of stuff. They have all these other MRAP vehicles and everything else. I think that's something we could be looking at, and I don't know which department, and I don't want the job. We could be looking at Homeland Security money, we could be looking at surplus vehicles, and that would stop us from having to go to New Bedford and pay for gas back and forth, and we would have one. I mean, we used to have a 6x6 that they used as a forestry tanker. That's a high water vehicle. There's a bunch of surplus vehicles out there. I've been away from this, I've been retired for 7 years, so I've been away from it, I don't know, but I was very upset that we were giving people cigarette boats on the Cape because of Homeland Security money, and, you know, the harbor masters were using them for fishing or whatever. We need a high water vehicle, and could be an easy solution to that.
The fire trucks can get through that, I hope, because I have a cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
I have an implant, so I'm petrified that they can't get
We'll
to
get
me.
you, we'll get you.
I'm just so scared about that.
Yeah.
There's only a couple of things we can promise, that's one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So just to some of Mr. Slatter's comments, Homeland Security, any money, I don't know how long ago that was, what they used for project justification to get the equipment that you speak about. Anything through the Homeland Security Council needs to have a nexus to terrorism to qualify. A high water rescue vehicle won't cut that. So we had a 2.5 ton old World War II military truck a while back that barely ran, and it was only, we had like maybe 3 people in the department that could drive it because it was a split shift and everything like that. So there is some surplus equipment out there, but it's tough to maintain. You need to have a place to store it.
Terrorists must be living in Rehoboth because they have 7
I don't know, yeah, the surplus and Homeland Security money are two different things, right? So, secondly, I know you mentioned about time, and I don't want to speak for the conservation agent, but he's not here. I know he specifically mentioned that and looked into that, all the stuff that you just mentioned. And I believe, you guys all correct me if I'm wrong, but the long-term plan is to try to get that dam removed. I know the conservation agent has also reached out to dam safety, I believe it's called, as a state agency, to try to get somebody to come down and give us assistance to try to evaluate and diagnose where that problem's coming from. So, short term, I don't want to speak for anybody that knows more than I do about this kind of stuff. It's more of a Jared thing. If there's something that you think that we can offer you, let us know. We'll give you any of the resources that we have available to us. I know that the shuttle and all that's not the answer you want. We get that, but that's all we can do in the interim, you know. So, long term, the town is in the process of putting together a hazard mitigation plan, which is about a 1.5-year long process. I can tell you that Barrows Court is on that plan as a high priority area for something that needs to be mitigated in the future. Once that plan gets approved by FEMA and MEMA, which is the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, that will open up a lot of grant funding to us to be able to do these big infrastructure projects to prevent and mitigate disasters, and that would qualify as something like that, hopefully. So, I was on a meeting yesterday with a conservation agent. He's looking into a grant through the Department of Fish and Game, and we were specifically talking about Barrows Court and that dam over there. I understand all these things that you mentioned earlier. They would probably take years to be honest, to happen. So,
I think also on the grant side of things, from what we were talking about the other day, if the residents can put together, whether collectively or separately, letters that we can include with the grant application, that could go a long way towards getting grant money. So we can connect with you. I think Mike, and we can coordinate that with the residents as well to make sure that when we do our application. I'm going to come back to you because we have some folks online, okay, and they want to ask some questions. So I go to iPhone 119617 something or other.
I think that's me.
Okay.
Heather, I live at 3 Barrows Court. I just, and you may have answered this question, but I may not have gotten it. So I know you spoke about long-term solutions and waiting for the water level to drop before you can do anything. But how come you can't go in now, even with the water level high? I'm just wondering if you could explain it. To go in and you know, for lack of better words, rotor-root it or just see if it's open. Why is there such a wait?
Jared?
Yeah, so we were already out there, and as the water table dropped after the first storm and everything drained, it actually did appear to be functioning. It was just functioning so slowly because of the height of the water table. We do have a camera that the water department has that we've used in the past. It doesn't work very well when the pipe's actually submerged with water. It's pretty much just as blind as going in there with a snake, which we'll probably be doing shortly too. But again, there was almost no indication that pipe was actually blocked, even though that was initially something I thought, just spitballing, something might have been the issue. Doesn't appear to be that way.
So it wouldn't be worth a shot to do that anyways?
No, it will, and we will continue to inspect that whole area as time goes on.
And it has to wait till the spring, or can you do it now?
I mean, in any real capacity, we'd have to wait for the water table to go down significantly. Everything
I'm
that
just
I could
wondering
have
why, that's
inspected.
all, that's why I wanted to know. Why, what is it that the water, like, why couldn't you still do it with the water, being even above it? What is that? What's the reasoning?
Well, you're just going off a field, and you can't visually inspect what's going on, so you're pretty limited on the feedback you get from what you're doing.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say the chief was on the phone with NEMA over the weekend. They were great. The chief said they were great to work with. And the governor's office did reach out to me on Sunday to see if how everything was going, if we needed anything. So I want to thank them for that.
Is there anybody else online?
Anyone else online?
I can't see the screen, so if there's anybody else online, just go ahead and speak and introduce yourself.
Nope.
No? Okay.
I actually have a bunch of the other residents on a message chat right now, and I have questions that they're asking.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Um,
Actually, hold on. I just want to be fair, because I know you had your hand up for a while, sorry.
I just wanted to know, can we have assurance that we'll have more of these meetings now that we're gonna go back to our neighborhood? We're gonna talk with Mary Jane and Sally John, and I think we're gonna get more people that will wanna come to these meetings, because I'm hearing a lot tonight that I didn't hear before. And I'm thinking that if we knew, say, 2 weeks from now, we're gonna have another meeting. I think we're gonna have more response with more questions and just more involvement.
It would definitely be nice to have more communication, because there was, like she said, a lot that we weren't told before. Not for any other reason besides the fact that the meeting's just right now, but it would be nice to be more in the loop as residents.
Okay. Mike?
Do we call that getting it tabled?
If you, afterwards, if you think of anything, suggestions, questions, if you could email them to me, then, all these people that are here tonight, plus the conservation agent couldn't make it, we'll run everything by them and try and find solutions or answers to any of those questions that you have.
And I agree that communication is going to be crucial for this process, because if we're not communicating, not just the town, but the individual departments and the residents, and we're not all communicating, we're not going to get a solution that works. So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Just to know where we're going and why. Yeah. I've learned a lot tonight just about water tables and under.
Yeah.
I was thinking you just have to put in there with a rotor and it'll happen.
And I
well, that's just it. I didn't know. One could hope, right? But not knowing and then knowing, I feel a little better tonight. And I think if we could do more of these meetings.
We could do, I don't want to speak for the entire board. I would certainly be open to continuing to have it part of a select board meeting in the future, if that's where we feel like it's best addressed, or potentially have a separate meeting with the residents, just with the residents, and not have it be part of the public. We have to follow open meeting law and all that kind of stuff. So, but if we could, have a meeting with just the residents, I think
I'm 100%.
we would be open to that.
I
For
think
sure.
most of us would agree to either or. It doesn't really matter as long as we're getting told what the progress is.
Yeah, and updates on it for sure.
Yeah.
I think, I think a separate meeting dedicated directly to this issue would be, I think that'd be a great
I
idea.
think that would be great.
Yeah.
So that we feel as if we're having the say in what's going on, as well as being educated about everything that's going on.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd love for, I know he couldn't be here tonight, and I'm sure he wanted to be. John Thomas has just got so much wealth of knowledge in this area. He's the stormwater manager for the town. I believe he's an environmental engineer. So he gave us so much information the other day just about the watershed and where the water's coming from and how it flows. And so I think that would be very valuable for you guys as well to hear that information, just so you heard what we hear. So just for an example, like why is the water coming up before it's even raining here? Because it's coming from somewhere else where it's raining, and there's 68 miles of watershed that's flooding downhill. So even before the rain gets here, if it rains somewhere else, it's all coming downhill. It's all coming down into our town. So, but he has just a ton of information and maps and all of that he can share with everybody and kind of show you why this is a unique, situation and why it's different now than it has not been for the last 22 years.
And where do we get your email address and?
My email is
Capital M?
YUNITS at NortonMAUS.com.
And you can find all of us on the town website as well.
Okay.
All of our email addresses and phone numbers are on there. Did you have any other questions from the chatters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the other neighbors asked, if there's no response from the dam owner, can it be possibly taken as eminent domain?
So I think we're going to try to serve the owner legally to respond to our requests. I have pseudo knowledge in this area because my wife works for the Neponset River Watershed Association. Towns, it's a huge liability for towns to own and take over dams and operate them themselves. So towns are very, very cautious and leery about taking over dams because then we have all the liability if the dam should fail.
So is that something that you assume that Norton would not do then?
I think, well, if we took it by eminent domain, we would own it.
Correct.
Yeah, so I don't think we would want to do that.
So the answer would be that would not happen. It would not be taken by eminent domain. Norton would not do such.
I don't think so.
Okay. So, okay.
Mike's nodding, so if I say anything wrong, he's going to stop me. So.
Let's see. So someone was asking about the shuttle. Some of the neighbors have schedules that don't fit the timeline of the shuttle service, which I will say, Finn was the driver on Saturday. He's amazing, he's very nice. He allowed me to go grocery shopping and bring groceries into my house. Thank you, Finn, he's wonderful. But again, with the scheduling, there's some neighbors that work third shift. They don't get off until 12 o'clock or even later. How do they get home?
So this was something I wanted to talk about as a group when we get together is when we're doing the preparedness, how are we preparing for that exact thing, right? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. We can't just say like, oh, you know what? There's no one who's going to need to go out at 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, there are people that need to go out at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I think that's part of the communication and the preparedness that we need to talk about is how do we make sure that there's availability for things when, right? Because we're going to need to know when the water's pooling, when it's flooded, and then how do we respond to that? So I think that's a fair question.
My husband left work this morning at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
He's an electrician doing a store, which he cannot work there during business hours. So for instance, he's out at 1 a.m. Or even for instance, as my son, his bus comes at 7 a.m.
Right.
Bus shuttle service starts at 8. My son can't even get to his bus stop.
Right, right.
So how do I get my kids to school?
Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
Yeah, so we'll find a way to make it work for you. You get a hold of us, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, you're up all night doing calls. We'll make it work.
Not that you want to come through the water.
Well, that's not, you're right, of course, but we're trying to, our job is help people, that's part of that, right? So, piece of information, like you said, we can adjust the shuttle service up by an hour or 2 hours, something like that. That's not a problem. We can absolutely do that again.
How many houses are in the whole?
You guys.
22, I think, or 24.
I think it's 22.
So we could come up with a system where, maybe the shuttle runs to a set amount of time, but after this time, give us a phone call or call us ahead of time and say, hey, is there any way we can arrange, something for 1 a.m. or something like that? We could totally work around that. The other thing I was going to suggest, it sounds like you guys have a really, tight-knit community and you all kind of talk with each other. Maybe in one of those emails, even if it's to myself or the town manager, if you could get everybody's name and phone number, that you would want to be notified in case something was going, the wrong direction as far as the flooding goes. So that, maybe, what I'm picturing is in the future storm, we're obviously all of us aware of it, and I can tell you all of us made several trips out there
I've seen some of you.
last Saturday.
Yeah.
So, but what I think might not be a bad idea is, as we're monitoring the water, right, you see maybe probably about 8 inches or so is probably about the limit, I would say, to drive a regular sedan, through water, right? So if we're monitoring it and we're looking and saying, hey, it's about 4 or 5 inches, maybe that's the time when we can send out a group notification to everybody on that list and say, hey, look, we're advising that you move your cars over to the alternate location. We're going to facilitate the shuttle starting at this time. Here's a number you can call for the shuttle, and here's an alternate number for, off-hours things or something like that.
Sometimes it's in the middle of the night and we wake up to it and then we just can't get out in the morning. So would you guys be out in the middle of the night doing that?
If we need to, yeah.
Because that has happened where we get up at 7 a.m. and then you just can't leave.
The other thing I would say is we probably use that notification, part of that is probably looking at the weather, right? So yeah, it might change overnight, but if we have a strong inclination that that's going to be the case at any point, from the nighttime to the morning, we would recommend, like we did last time, from Friday to Saturday, right, is to pre-stage the vehicles.
Okay.
I totally get how inconvenient that is, but it's probably better than not having access to your vehicle at all, right?
Right.
And it's the only thing that we can do in the short term, so that's kind of how I would see that going.
If I could just touch on a little bit more from what the chief said. This was our first time of having to do this. We had a plan, we think it worked out pretty well. In a perfect world, we won't get better at it, but we will get better at it. So we can work with things like we had, the police department did extra patrols on Fordham Drive to make sure that there was no issues with your cars. They stacked their presence there a little bit more often throughout the night for those purposes. We can also work with them and try to do it that maybe if they're out and about and they start to see the water get higher, or if they need to shuttle to your house, that we can work with them. Everyone's willing to work collectively to make it the best we can for you guys, in the short term and the long term, for everyone's happiness.
Mm-hmm. And one question too, how high was the highest recording of the water level that you guys got?
Saturday, I basically drove through it, stuck a tape measure out of my car a couple times throughout the day, took a picture of it, and then, wrote down what time it was and that sort of thing. And that day, I got to 10 inches. Previously, I don't have an accurate, I personally don't. I don't know if any of these gentlemen do or not. Yeah.
The center of the wheel on 3,500.
Yeah.
And then another question is, at what level is the shuttle bus no longer allowed to go through the water inch-wise?
So the shuttle bus is probably good for about 10 or 11 inches or so.
So it's pretty maxed out.
Our ambulance is about 14 to 15 inches.
Ambulance?
One of our average engines is about 19 to 20 inches, and we have another squad vehicle that's about 22 inches.
So that
And
was
what I would anticipate is that, yeah, it'd be great if we had one of those vehicles in the parking lot of the fire station, but if we're doing our job correctly and we're monitoring the water level go up, we can say, hey, look, this is likely to get to the point where we're going to need that vehicle for the benefit that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And there's other ones throughout the county and the state that we can do as well, but we would try to be ahead of that, obviously, right?
So if the ambulance is 14, 15 inches, what happens when the water's 6 like that and then the ambulance can't come through? How does an ambulance get through?
Yeah.
Like that would be the New Bedford one?
It's possible. We could use a fire engine to facilitate transfer from the house to the street where the ambulance could be parked. So the good thing about the ambulance is all of the equipment that we carry in the ambulance is portable, right?
Yeah.
And quite honestly, nowadays we have so much stuff, equipment, medications, diagnostic capabilities in the ambulance, that we're literally bringing the same capabilities that the emergency room has into your house, right? So we can do a lot to help a person, while we're there. We can get that person into an alternate mode of transport, like a fire engine or a truck that we spoke about, and dump it into the street and then transfer them over. Right? So, not that, obviously, it's not ideal.
No.
We have to deal with the situation with the best resources that we have available, right?
Yes, in the
So-
sense of the mention of the New Bedford one, would it be, could you talk to them to see if it would be available? Like if we're gonna get a bad storm, and like, could you arrange for them for us to use it, so it wouldn't take the 2-hour basis that you're saying?
So I had done that Friday.
Oh,
That was already
In place.
taken care of. So
Okay.
we could have driven down there and picked it up and had it sitting over here. But I felt it was a better choice to kind of monitor how the water was going, knowing that if we think there's any chance that it's going to exceed the capacity of the vehicles that we have, 3 hours ahead of time, we would have sent somebody to go and pick that up and bring it back. So,
With that minibus, we had it set in stages that the minibus would take you while the water was low. Then you would go into one of the highway department pickup trucks. And then if the water got too deep for that, you'd go into the fire engine. And then after that, we had the plans of either this high water truck or we have Zodiacs that are the inflatable boats that we could walk you through the water that way in a boat. So we had several layers set and established. We just didn't need to get to those.
we try to give you the most comfortable options first. Although it is pretty cool riding a fire truck. That'll be honest.
Because I'm thinking, okay, they can't get through, but oh boy.
We'll find a way to get to it. It's been, the storms have been bad, and what you guys are going through is horrible. But I bet you we've been on 20 flooded basement calls over the past week and a half. The first storm that we had, we did 77 calls. There was power lines down on fire in people's yards. We had 3 neighborhoods in town that were completely cut off because there was poles down with trees and wires wrapped around them. And
take
so
away the trees and the
we've
wires,
been
though,
doing,
and they
yeah,
can
it's
still
been bad for a lot of people in town. We're trying to do the best we can to help everybody with the resources that we have available.
In regards to the flooding basements, I have been told that there are multiple houses that have had water in their basements. Fortunately, mine was not one of them, but I have been told that there is a few. But just to mention it, not to say it's not happening, because it is.
All right, I'm gonna just ask anybody else online, because I know that it looks like there's some folks on there. Does anybody else online have any questions? If you want to raise your hand on the Zoom. No one? Okay. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a final question for myself.
Yeah.
Since the water is dissipated for now, I have noticed that area of the street looks like it has a few more cracks in it right now. Is there any plans to take a look at the integrity of the street while it is dry so that the town can be prepared if something does happen to it?
So we're constantly monitoring the condition of all streets, potholes, roads that are going to resurface the following year, any deteriorating on the shoulders of the road today. So we will be monitoring if there's any compromise to the road, and we'll address it.
I have another question from another parent.
Yeah.
Someone said, why don't they raise the road to the same level to where it does not flood? The water would have to be forced somewhere else evidently, but would that be an option too, is to raise the road?
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I guess that would be an engineering question, but if we did raise the road, it's going to block the water onto people's yards in the street.
It's going to flood the houses on the left-hand side.
Yeah, flood the houses.
Yeah, that's my house.
That's one of the problems with water, is that you move it somewhere, it's going to find somewhere else to go. So, all right, we're going to do one more question from. If that's okay with everybody, has everybody?
I'd like to put this young lady at ease when it comes to our fire department. I was the Region Emergency Medical Services Director for Plymouth County, Bristol County, and Barnstable County for 5 years. And I'm not afraid to say it, that we have the best EMS department and the best fire department in southeastern Massachusetts. And I don't think you have anything to worry about as far as it comes to the fire department or the EMS services. I worked in the city of Taunton for 42 years, and I kept telling people we will never have to call mutual aid or anything else. We have a great, they're 3 steps ahead of most of the departments around here, and they will give you the shirts off their back
I
to get
also
the
grew
job
up in
done.
Taunton, and I worked in Taunton, so I did come from there. Yeah, it was never an issue.
I just want to, that you're worried about your kids, you're worried about the ambulance. Like the deputy mentioned, there's plenty of alternatives to get you from point A to point B. They've thought of all the alternatives short of the helicopter, which is now stationed in Mansfield, that could land in your cul-de-sac if you're really, really desperate, but I don't think we'll go that route, or they will. But, no, we do have a helicopter that's right in Mansfield that's available, and I also drove down your street, and it was about 12 inches the day I drove. I was just curious to see how much flooding it was, and I noticed that the cul-de-sac at the end was pretty dry. Maybe it wasn't during the height of the flooding, but for a staging area, that's a pretty good, and if you're really worried about your car, I don't know where, and I won't touch that, so. But as far as the EMS and the fire department goes, it's well worth the tax money we pay, so.
So what I'd like to do now is we'll definitely continue this communication. We'll either have it at a select board meeting or we'll set something up with the residents to continue to talk about this. Does anybody have anything else they urgently need at this point that they need to raise? And then what we could also do is we will any updates on the grant funding or anything like that we'll communicate to you. That obviously takes time, but again, I know one of the things that was mentioned was if you are able to describe the situation in a letter or something like that and why you need relief, that would be hugely helpful for any grant funding that we can go after, whether it's federal or state. So, yeah.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask, we were told in one of the memos that was given to each individual house, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I thought I read that if we saved our Uber receipts and if we missed a day's pay from work, other expenses that have been incurred because of this water and not being able to get in or out, to save them, and that the town would reimburse? If that's so, no, he's shaking his head.
No.
Where did I read that?
Oh, that was definitely stated.
I thought I saw it.
Yeah, that was my question too, the same thing. How do we recoup the money lost if both families were unable to go to work that day? How do they get there?
I mean, we're doing everything we can help you. This is a freak of nature. We don't have responsibility for that.
Well, it's written and it was told
It's in
to
one
us
of
in
the
writing.
memos.
I don't know who did that. We didn't do that.
If you have that, can you send it to?
I will.
Send it to Mike.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see if we can track down whoever sent that out.
Look at it and it's not covered.
Yeah.
It's not.
Jim, you didn't send that out, did you?
Okay, what about homeowners insurance?
I would think that if you got the state to declare an emergency, then the state would go into, and that may have been somebody, I did not send that memo out, but if somebody sent that out, that could have been what, I know the town wouldn't do
Give
it.
them your phone number before you leave if they have any other expenses.
Mike, I have enough windmills to push over, I
So,
don't need
yeah, if you have
Daryl's
something,
court
I'm
flooding
gonna
on
go through
my.
my
yeah,
emails and everything else that I have.
and send it to Mike. Okay,
But I will, I'll figure it out.
all right. All right, thank you, everybody. We know this is an awful situation, but everybody here and more, we're we want to help you and do whatever we can to help.
Thank you.
How often does the select board meet?
We meet twice, as Peter said, we meet twice every other Thursday. So we meet every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure you can.
Contact Lucia at the town clerk's office and have your email presented to her. And then they will mail to you every meeting that's taking place within the town. You get it on your email, you look at it, it says read more, click it, and there's the agenda.
Okay, I'll do that.
Now you've got communications, like all of us have. You have to do it though, you can't do it on your phone,
Betsy, just by getting everybody more involved.
And then you can tell your neighbor and all of a sudden you have 50 people here.
And just one final thing, I just want to thank all the town department folks,
Yes.
the fire department, NEMA. NEMA is volunteers, you know, so they help out with emergency management in town. And Jared, thank you as well. John Thomas as well. You know, and please reach out to us for any help or any questions, okay?
We will.
All right. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for being on top of it.
All right, so, discussion of town meeting articles.
Any articles, I'll just have this on all the time.
Oh, you're just asking us if you have any
Not today.
Yeah, we're gonna do the HCA stuff. So we don't have any, nobody has any town meeting articles they wanna propose tonight?
Not today.
All right. All right, next up, update on HCA negotiations, and I think we'll hopefully also be talking about discussion and our vote to approve the HCA agreements between the town of Norton and Lucky Green Ladies. Did Renee here?
I'm here.
Melissa is here.
Yeah. Melissa is here. Nick is here. Yeah.
So, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Kick us off.
I just want to thank our council, Renee, Alyssa, and her council. I know this has taken a long time, but we were going through changes in the state laws at the same time, and you know, it made it difficult because we had to keep changing things. And in the end, I think we've come to a good agreement. And I don't know if Renee wants to talk about any of the highlights of the agreement, and but I think.
Yeah, do you have a presentation? Can you put it up? And then I can post it on the laptop over. It's kind of an odd. It's not going to project up there. It may.
No, that's on that laptop.
Okay.
So.
Do you want to, here, sit here and you can go through. So,
to be honest, I don't even need it. If,
okay, that's fine.
Okay.
If it's gonna be, will it be up, will you share it on Zoom? Because then.
Yes, but
when
you won't see
someone-
it, you won't see it there.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll stand here.
Here, how about
I don't
this?
need to read anything else.
Perfect. So let me just give a quick background.
Go ahead.
As you guys know, this has been a while. The EDC initially came to the board to ask if the board would agree to the commitment that was made previously in the RFI for the marijuana establishments. So Alyssa, we asked her to come and re-present to the EDC because there was a change in the location. So she was gracious enough to come and present. A couple of issues were discussed. She quickly had those resolved, and then the EDC unanimously voted to support her with this establishment. So of course, like Mike said, we had a lot of challenges because the CCC changed regulations. Not only did they change, they presented draft regulations and they changed, and it wasn't all aligned. So going back and forth, certainly had a good conversation, a lot of discussion with it, but you know, to the point of, I think we came to, I think it's a good agreement, and you know, we're looking forward to her starting her business in the town. But I'd like, before we go through the agreement and the boring details, I'd like Alyssa to just take a couple minutes to present to you her business.
Well, I will be quick, but first I just wanted to thank everyone throughout this process. Renee,
Do you want me to put that up?
I got it right here. Michael, all the members of the select board, everyone has been great helping me through this process. I know that it was challenging because the law changed, and you know, I'm sorry that that things kind of got made a fuss, but I'm happy that we're here now, and I love doing business in the town, and you know, I hope to be a good partner for many years to come. So I just wanted to say thank you. I guess no one can see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Nice. Well, I won't go through every slide, but I did want to show like the pictures of what I was interested in doing to the place. I made a rendering.
You want me to see the pictures?
Yeah, so this is what it is now, and if you go to the next one, That is what it's going to be. So we're gonna be completely rehabbing the property, new parking lot, new septic. It floods a lot there, so, you know, we'll be working, I'm sure, with, you know, conservation and the Board of Health on stormwater management. You know, it's our kind of our vibe is to just be like the local pot shop. It's small, nothing like Canna, you know, that's big, and it's a very small building, 990 square feet approximately. So I don't want to bore you with all the details, but you know, pretty much we're checking IDs at the door, checking IDs at the register. It's limited to people 21 plus. We have a very small storage area at this facility, so we're actually going to receive all of our product from the external suppliers at the delivery business down the street, which has a lot of storage space, so we'll be able to store it there and then bring it over as needed. Here's our parking plan. We have 16 parking spaces. It is a very small and non-conforming lot, but I think that it's gonna work. So we'll have one ingress on one way and then kind of like a roundabout and then exit on the other side. I guess it doesn't need much. We need, we need one person at the door, a couple people at the register, and potentially a manager. As you guys know, you get 4% of the sales tax revenue, as well as personal property tax. And I'm not sure if I'm missing anything, but if anyone has specific questions, I am open.
When are you looking at opening?
Maybe a year and a half.
Okay. All right. And how's the delivery business going?
It's good. It was very slow at first, but we just sent out 48,000 mailers across Taunton, rest of Attleboro. We're about to do Mansfield, and we've been really successful with that. So every month we're doubling our sales, but it's definitely a slow start. It's hard, without the store and everything.
Yeah.
But we're getting there.
Yeah. Well, if you're doubling your revenue, that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's not much, but we are doubling.
Yeah, that's great.
It was expected. So.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Renee, Mike, Alyssa? No?
We've asked them.
We just want to sign the contracts?
Yeah.
Is that where we are?
In that case, thank you.
Do you want to go through the HCA, or are you guys good to go?
I don't need to go through it. Do you guys need to go through the HCA?
Perfect.
No? I think we can take a vote to, I think I'll entertain a motion to approve the HCA's.
I'm gonna go ahead and move that. Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna move that?
Second.
All right, I just wanna make sure we got everything we need to say here. All right, so I'm just going to do that just to be official. So I'll take a motion. Steve, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to take a motion to vote to approve the HCA agreement and memorandum of agreement between the town of Norton and Lucky Green Ladies.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
Okay.
Kevin?
Yep.
I'm sorry, the entity is different?
Okay. So I'm going to have to do it again?
Take it.
What is it now?
Lucky Green Ladies, 408 LLC.
Ladies 408 LLC.
408.
All right, got it. Okay.
I'll just make the motion.
Okay.
All right, I motion to approve the HCA agreement and memorandum of agreement between the town of Norton and Lucky Green Ladies 408 LLC.
Second.
Okay.
There's no memo on
All right.
just HCA.
Oh.
All right, try again, Steve. All right. We got all.
No, you know what? No, I don't want to do it now. So, motion to approve the HCA agreement between the town of Norton and Lucky Green Ladies 408 LLC.
Second.
Okay, we have a
You
motion. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll
Opposed?
call, roll call.
Okay. We don't need one, right?
No.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So it's a unanimous yes from the board.
Yay.
Congratulations. Thank you both
guys.
very
Thank you
much.
all. I know I I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, I can see Nick over there. He's like. All right, thank you. What else we got? Code of conduct, we are not going to take that up tonight. You're welcome. That's a gift from Denise.
Can I give you an update on the HCA?
Yeah, go ahead.
Start with the updates. There's one remaining HCA, and that's for the product manufacturing.
Yeah.
So it is a new entity. Council and the owner have it in hand, and he indicated if there should be no problems, we should be able to present it next week.
Awesome.
I was going to ask Mr. Chair, since you set the agenda, may we get on the next agenda for the product manufacturing?
We will have it on the next agenda. For sure.
Thank you, because I think we're going to come to the court to.
Awesome. Okay, great news. Thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you.
All right, so code of conduct, we're not going to take that up tonight. Is that everything? Select board report and mail, anybody got anything?
Bill and I, actually, maybe this is again for another meeting, but I just had a couple of questions at next meeting. If we can get an update on the Reed Barton situation. And then the other one is, you know the old Norton Liquors on?
They're on next to that.
Yeah.
I just want to know, and I kept meaning to ask the owner of that's now in the old Rochelle Plaza, but what's happening with that property? It is awful. It's just a dump, and I just want to know who owns it.
I haven't seen it listed, have you?
There is a sign for rental.
Yeah, it's not listed, I think they still own it.
I don't know if they own it or someone else, but like and I don't know how we get those, the clothes receptacle, whatever, those bins.
Yeah.
I know they're
Some there.
nonprofits, but it's like, I went to go put clothes in there and it's like overflowing, there's people's junk all over the place, it looks horrible. And that's right next to the senior center and,
Yeah.
that whole strip.
We'll get that on, I was going to
Yeah,
write
right.
it down, we're going to put that on the next agenda, we'll get an update on that property.
Perfect.
Thank you. Anybody else? No?
Kevin,
Yes, Peter.
I just found out that Farmers Indian Market on
I know.
Hampton Avenue is closed for good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, we did hear that. That's disappointing. So,
I have seen some good progress on the liquor store that is up by the Attleboro line,
Yeah.
the building. They've
Yeah,
been doing a lot of
yeah.
work over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Across from the number does?
It's cross Martin Motion.
They're trying to open up soon, they want to open up quickly.
Steve?
So I approve the warrants as written.
All right, next, great. Okay, so, real quick, next meeting's agenda is next Thursday. We're doing the joint meeting with the FinCom and the school committee,
Middle school.
and that's the middle school. Right now, we only have one agenda item, which is a budget discussion. So,
What time does it start?
7 o'clock. Okay. All right. I declare under General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, that the purposes of the executive session will be, 1, to discuss litigation with respect to Robert Cronin and Christine Cronin versus Town of Norton and MFN Regional Wastewater District, and 2, to discuss possible litigation concerning Article 97, disposition of land regarding Kingsbury Hill Conservation Restriction, because a discussion in open session could compromise the purposes of the executive session, and with the board to not return to open session at the conclusion of the executive session.
I move that the board go into executive session under General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, for the purposes and reasons declared by the chair, and with the board to not return to open session thereafter.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Denise?
Yes.
Meg?
Yes.
Alec?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And I am also a yes. All right, all set. Thank you.